Welcome, dearly beloved anointed ones. When God puts his spotlight on you, even the people pretending not to care suddenly forget how to blink. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody likes to say out loud. Once you're marked as a chosen one, privacy becomes a luxury you never signed up for. People who don't even like you suddenly become your dedicated surveillance team. Folks who swore they'd moved on somehow know every update of your life as if they were hired by an agency you never authorized. And the funniest part, half of them don't even understand why they're watching you. Something in them just refuses to look away. Psychologists say humans naturally fixate on what they can't explain. That's why people slow down on highways when they see flashing lights. It's not curiosity, it's instinct. And that same instinct kicks in when it comes to you. Your resilience doesn't match your circumstances. Your peace doesn't match the pressure you've faced. Your survival doesn't match the hostility surrounding you. So now you've become what researchers call an unresolved phenomenon, something ordinary people can't wrap their minds around. Translation, you became their favorite mystery without ever asking. And let's be honest, some of the people watching you are doing it with the emotional stability of a cracked phone screen. They pretend they're just checking, but the way they monitor your life could earn them a full-time job in data analytics. If only they worked this hard on their own goals, the world would be a better place. But behind all the noise, there's a deeper layer that makes this season of your life feel so spiritually charged. Not everyone watching you has the same intention. Some watch because they're inspired, others because they're intimidated, and a few because they're waiting for a downfall that never arrives. And then there's the one watcher you never see coming. The one whose identity will shake you, because their eyes aren't on you out of envy or curiosity, but out of divine assignment. In this message, we're going to uncover exactly why all eyes seem to be on you, what it reveals about your calling, and the unexpected person who's watching you with a purpose that will leave you speechless. Buckle in. This one's different. Number one. The one studying you isn't your enemy. It's the one who needed you to fail. One of the hardest truths for a chosen one to swallow is that the person watching you the closest is not the obvious hater. It's not the loud one who rolls their eyes, the one who throws shade, or the one who can't stand to see you win. Those people are predictable. Their intentions are clear. You can see their motives without effort. The real shock comes when you realize the most attentive eyes belong to someone who once benefited from you staying small. This is the one who needed you to doubt yourself because your confidence threatened their position. This is the one who needed you confused because your clarity made their own decisions look weak. They silently depended on your struggles to validate the choices they made in their own life. This type of watcher studies you with a different level of intensity. They're not watching out of interest, they're watching out of fear. The moment you started breaking patterns, healing, or simply thinking for yourself, they felt something slipping from their hands. They never expected you to grow past the version of you they were comfortable with. They liked you when you were unsure, when you questioned your worth, when you tolerated what you've now outgrown. That version was easy for them to manage. But the person you're becoming exposes everything about them they don't want to confront. Their insecurities, their jealousy, their hidden sense of inadequacy. So now they monitor you quietly, hoping your next move will reassure them that you're not as strong as you appear. But every step you take forward feels like a threat to the illusion they built around you. Every win you experience challenges the belief they've relied on for years, and the irony is, they don't want to admit how invested they are. They don't want to admit that your growth affects them personally, but it does, because your elevation means their narrative about you is collapsing, and once that collapses, they're forced to see the truth. They never outgrew you. They just hoped you would never grow enough to surpass them. That's why they watch so closely now. Your transformation is revealing the role they played in your stagnation. Your growth is exposing their dependence on your weakness. And that revelation is what terrifies them the most. Number 2, people watch you because your life reveals what they're missing. One of the biggest shocks for a chosen one is realizing that people aren't watching you because they're interested in your life. They're watching because your life exposes what they've been avoiding in their own. You don't even have to speak to hold up a mirror to someone's conscience. Your choices, your strength, your resilience, and the way you carry yourself silently confront people with the truth they've been trying to outrun. You force them to see the gaps in their character, the shortcuts they took, and the potential they wasted. That's why they study you so closely. Your growth bothers people who stayed stagnant. Your authenticity irritates those who built their lives on performance. Your strength annoys people who folded when life got hard. Everything about you triggers an internal alarm in them that keeps saying, "You could have done better. You chose not to." What makes this even more intense is that they don't feel this with everyone. They feel it with you. Something about the way you move, the way you overcome, the way you stay grounded hits differently. They can't dismiss you as lucky because they saw the storms you survived. They can't label you privileged because they watched you rebuild from nothing. They can't accuse you of pretending because you've always stayed true to yourself. You become the living contradiction to every excuse they ever made, and that's why their eyes stay glued to you. Whether they admit it or not, many people quietly envy your courage. They don't envy your circumstances or your past. They envy the internal fire that kept you going when they would have collapsed. They envy your discipline, your clarity, your backbone, your ability to walk away, your ability to stand alone, your refusal to break under pressure. They envy the things money can't buy, and even when they pretend they're not paying attention, their actions betray them. They know the details of your journey far too well for someone who claims not to care. They scroll, they listen, they talk, they track. Not because they're obsessed with you personally, but because watching your life forces them to confront what their own life could have been if they had chosen courage instead of convenience. Number 3, your presence interrupts their illusions. Your presence carries a weight that most people don't even realize at first. It isn't loud, it isn't dramatic, but it's undeniable. There's something about the way you move, the decisions you make, and the integrity you carry that forces people to confront realities they've been desperately avoiding. When you enter a room, someone's carefully constructed world of excuses, lies, and pretenses begins to shake. They might not say anything, they might even pretend nothing has changed. But deep down they know they have to account for the gap between who they are and who you are. That gap terrifies them more than any confrontation ever could. People who have been living off illusions, whether it's their perceived intelligence, superiority, or control, suddenly realize that your energy exposes what they've been hiding from themselves. Your confidence highlights their insecurities, your discipline highlights their stagnation, and your clarity exposes their confusion. They watch, they analyze, they try to measure you because, in that measurement, they hope to reclaim some sense of control over the uncomfortable truth. That your life is functioning at a level they can't explain and can't replicate. What's extraordinary is that you don't have to try. Your mere existence disrupts the carefully curated narratives of people around you. They see how you handle challenges, how you navigate obstacles, and how you rise without compromising your values. And it reminds them of what they've refused to be. It isn't envy. It's the raw, unsettling acknowledgement that your consistency is a silent judgment on their choices. Some people can't handle that kind of honesty. It's not the words you speak, it's the life you live. And that's why they watch so intently. Every step you take forward, every decision you make, is a silent reminder that they are accountable to their own reality, even if they've spent years hiding from it. Your presence doesn't just interrupt their illusions, it shatters the comfort of pretending, and nothing is more terrifying to someone who has built their identity on deception than facing a truth they cannot escape. Your life becomes the mirror they never wanted, and that mirror will haunt them far longer than you ever speak a single word. Number 4. The one observing you is trying to predict your next breakthrough. People who once underestimated you now study your life with a kind of quiet panic. They used to treat your potential like a joke, something harmless that would never amount to anything. But now they're seeing signs they didn't expect. Shifts in your energy, changes in your thinking, better choices, stronger boundaries, a level of growth they can't easily explain. They watch you because they can sense you're on the verge of something big, and the uncertainty terrifies them more than anything you've ever said or done. When someone can't predict your next move, they try to monitor everything you do. They're looking for patterns, hints, weaknesses, anything that might help them understand how you keep rising. You've become unpredictable in the best way. Every time life tries to pin you down, you find a way to escape the trap. Every time a setback hits you, you recover stronger. Every time someone thinks they've figured you out, you evolve again. That evolution makes you impossible to control, impossible to categorize, and impossible to bet against. Deep down, these people know your breakthrough won't be small. They've watched you survive situations that should have taken you out. They've seen doors open for you that shouldn't have opened. They've noticed that when you lose something, you come back with something bigger. They know your story hasn't even peaked yet, and that's exactly why they're watching you so closely. They're afraid of missing the moment your life shifts permanently. Some people want to be close enough to benefit from your blessing. Others want to be close enough to block it. But all of them share one thing. They're watching your life unfold, like they're tracking a countdown. They feel something building in your life that has nothing to do with luck or coincidence. They can sense the momentum, the pressure, the divine timing. They know a major turning point is coming, and they're trying desperately to brace themselves for it. Your breakthrough is unpredictable, your progress is undeniable, and your destiny is unstoppable. That's why they keep their eyes on you, not because they understand you, but because your next move might be the one that changes everything. Number 5, your silence doesn't scare them. Your accuracy does. There's a misconception that being quiet or reserved is a weakness, but for a chosen one, silence isn't empty, it's sharp. People often assume that because you don't speak up constantly or flaunt your knowledge, you are unaware, naive, or easy to manipulate. The reality is the exact opposite. Your silence isn't about fear or hesitation, it's about precision. You observe, you calculate, and you understand far more than anyone around you suspects. And this is what terrifies the people who are watching. It's not the loud confrontations that shake them. It's the way you move with intention, the way your decisions always land where they need to, and the way your actions expose truth without you ever having to explain yourself. Every time someone tries to test you, deceive you, or undermine you, you respond not with chaos, but with exactness. You dismantle illusions quietly, and that is far more disarming than shouting or dramatics. They are glued to your every move, trying to catch a slip, but your life unfolds with a rhythm they can't predict, and that unpredictability combined with your accuracy makes them uncomfortable in ways they don't fully understand. The frightening part for them is that your precision exposes gaps in their own thinking. They see patterns, predict outcomes, and read intentions in ways that remind them of their own shortcomings. You don't just see through people, you see through systems, lies, and pretense. And because you rarely announce it, they never know exactly when or how you figured it all out. That uncertainty keeps them on edge. Your accuracy acts as a silent authority. You don't need to scream, manipulate, or prove yourself. Your life proves itself daily. Every choice, every outcome, every alignment of circumstances they thought they controlled suddenly makes sense under your quiet observation. People realize too late that your silence has been a signal of your power, not your submission. They can watch, they can analyze, they can question, but your accuracy will always speak louder than anything they could ever shout. Being quiet is not being powerless. Being accurate is a weapon, and for those watching, that truth is more terrifying than anything they could have imagined. Number 6, someone is watching you. Because you hold the blueprint they never had. Some people don't just notice you, they study you because you carry a kind of knowledge, a strategy, and a vision they never developed for themselves. You operate on levels they can't access, not because you're smarter or luckier, but because your journey has forced you to build a blueprint for life that is entirely your own. Every challenge you've survived, every obstacle you've navigated, and every decision you've made has created a framework for success, resilience, and purpose that others instinctively recognize, even if they can't articulate it. That recognition is why they watch so intently, because deep down, they know they could never have created what you've lived. Your life becomes a silent curriculum for those who are desperate to understand what makes you tick. They analyze your moves, your relationships, your timing, and your priorities because they are trying to decode a path they wish they had drawn for themselves. It's not envy alone, it's the unsettling realization that they've been operating without a map, while you have been building one with clarity and intention, often without even realizing it. That blueprint isn't just about wealth or status. It's about character, integrity, discipline, and vision. They see that, and it unnerves them because no matter how much they try to mimic you, the origin of your structure is unique, deeply personal, and unreplicable. The most intense part is that your blueprint doesn't need validation. It doesn't beg for recognition, it doesn't demand applause, and it doesn't advertise itself. Its power lies in its quiet efficacy, in the results it produces, and in the consistency it maintains. People who watch you are fascinated not just by what you achieve, but by how you achieve it, with patience, precision, and a sense of alignment that they can't manufacture. By living according to your unique design, you expose the absence of one in others, and that exposure makes them hyper-aware of your every move. Every decision you make, every boundary you enforce, every success you quietly secure is a chapter in a manual they will never fully possess. And that is why they watch, captivated, unsettled, and deeply aware that your life is operating on a level they can only attempt to follow. Number 7, the person quietly watching you is measuring their own conscience. Some of the people who observe your life aren't doing it out of envy, curiosity, or even ambition. They watch because they're confronted with a reflection of what they should have been, what they could have been, and the choices they ignored along the way. Your consistency, integrity, and courage act like a mirror that forces them to examine the gaps in their own lives, whether they admit it or not. They are measuring their conscience against your reality, and every step you take forward becomes a silent accusation of the decisions they've avoided or the morality they've compromised. They notice the way you respond to challenges without losing your values, the way you rise after situations that should have broken you, and the way your principles guide you when no one is watching. For them, it's unnerving. Your life doesn't just inspire, it confronts them with uncomfortable truths about their own behavior. They watch, analyze, and sometimes even rationalize their actions, hoping to soothe the unease that comes from realizing they've settled for less, while you have fought for more. The more they observe, the more painfully aware they become of the difference between action and inaction, between courage and avoidance, between integrity and compromise. They track your growth and resilience, not just to predict your next move, but to measure themselves, to see how far off they are from the standard your life silently sets. And because your progress is so visible yet unassuming, it's a constant, unspoken challenge. What makes this even more powerful is that they can't control your journey. They can monitor, speculate, and dissect, but they cannot replicate your alignment, your discipline, or the spiritual and emotional depth that fuels your decisions. Their conscience whispers reminders of the integrity they've neglected, and each observation reinforces it. You exist as a catalyst for self-reflection in ways they never expected. Every glance they give you, every detail they track, is an acknowledgement that your life is a measure of what they should have cultivated in themselves. And that quiet confrontation with their conscience is why your presence is impossible for them to ignore. Number 8, your growth exposes their hidden weakness, so they keep tabs on you. When you rise, when you push past obstacles that should have slowed you, and when you keep moving forward despite the chaos around you, it doesn't just impact your own life. It exposes cracks in everyone who underestimated you. People watch because your growth illuminates weaknesses they've been hiding from themselves and from the world. Every accomplishment you achieve, every boundary you enforce, every success you quietly secure becomes a spotlight on the areas where they've failed, faltered, or refused to act. Your life becomes an unintentional auditor of character, and the truth is uncomfortable for those who can't face their own deficiencies. They observe your progress because it challenges their narrative. They've spent years convincing themselves that the world works a certain way, that circumstances should have broken you, or that you couldn't possibly rise above certain limits. But each step you take proves their assumptions wrong. That realization makes them uneasy, and the most natural response is to monitor you, to watch and try to anticipate your next move. They aren't just curious, they're defensive. They want to understand how you keep rising, because if they can figure it out, maybe they can reclaim some sense of control over the reality they've been avoiding. Your growth is an unspoken statement. Weakness can't hide when strength is consistent. They see your resilience and endurance and, without realizing it, compare it to their own avoidance, procrastination, and indecision. Every success of yours exposes a mirror of what they've neglected. The discomfort they feel isn't just envy. It's the silent acknowledgement that your life is an example of what could have been theirs if they had acted differently. This is why they track you. Every decision, every moment of discipline, every leap forward becomes data for them to analyze, not because they can stop you, but because they need to understand how to reconcile their own insecurities with the undeniable truth you represent. Your growth doesn't just shine, it exposes. And that exposure makes you impossible to ignore. Number 9, someone you'd least expect is watching because they fear God fights for you. Not everyone who observes your life does so out of curiosity, envy, or admiration. Some people are watching because they sense a force around you that they cannot control, a protection so precise and undeniable that it terrifies them. They've seen patterns in your life, moments of survival, coincidences that feel impossible, and opportunities that appear as if by divine orchestration. They can't explain it logically, and that uncertainty unsettles them. Deep down, they know you are guarded by something far greater than human strategy, and that knowledge keeps them glued to your every move. What's shocking is how aware some people are of this protection without ever admitting it. They notice that doors open for you when they should be shut. They see obstacles fall away in ways that defy probability. They witness you escaping harm and emerging stronger while others around you stumble. This isn't luck. They sense the hand of a higher power aligning circumstances in your favor, and it shakes them to their core. It's one thing to watch someone grow or succeed. It's another to witness what feels like supernatural safeguarding that they cannot touch or influence. Their fear isn't just for themselves. It's the realization that any attempt to harm, sabotage, or undermine you could backfire in ways they can't predict. That's why they remain vigilant, watching, measuring, and recalculating their every interaction with you. They're aware that the same force protecting you could turn against anyone who tries to disrupt your path. And the irony is that they often underestimate you in the process. They focus so heavily on the invisible shield around you that they fail to recognize your own power, your insight, and your discernment. They are captivated by a combination of divine protection and human precision. Two elements they cannot separate, and two elements that make you untouchable in ways they are only beginning to understand. Being watched by someone who fears what God fights for is a testament to your destiny. It's proof that your life is bigger than circumstance, bigger than human schemes, and entirely aligned with a purpose they cannot comprehend. That tension, that quiet fear, is why your journey is as mesmerizing to them as it is unstoppable. Number 10, your name lives in rooms. You haven't entered yet. There's a strange energy that follows chosen ones, an invisible ripple that moves ahead of them and leaves traces in places they haven't even stepped into. Your name becomes more than just an identity. It becomes a presence, a quiet signal that people notice even before they meet you. Decision makers, influencers, and even those who think they operate in isolation somehow hear about your life, your work, your discipline, and your character. They recognize your energy and impact without ever seeing it directly, and that's why you're being watched. What's extraordinary is that this attention isn't manufactured or forced. You're not hustling for recognition in these spaces. You simply exist in alignment with your purpose, and that alignment creates a resonance that people pick up on. They notice the consistency in your actions, the clarity of your vision, and the strength of your character. That invisible signal travels faster than rumor or gossip. It's the kind of reputation that precedes you because it's rooted in substance, not hype. People start tracking you not because they want to, but because your life demonstrates an authority and certainty that draws their awareness like a magnet. Sometimes, the people who hear your name in these rooms you haven't entered yet are individuals who hold the power to shift your path in ways you don't realize. They observe you quietly, waiting for the right moment to act, to support, challenge, or measure your potential. And often, they do this without you ever knowing. You become a story, a case study, and a standard in spaces you haven't physically reached. Yet your influence is undeniable. This is proof that your life operates on a level beyond conventional visibility. You don't need to chase attention, network aggressively, or announce yourself to matter. The alignment of your spirit, purpose, and action sends signals that reach farther than you can imagine. Your name, your energy, and your essence leave a mark in spaces you haven't touched, and that mark is why eyes follow you. People are watching, analyzing, and anticipating your impact, and their awareness is simply an acknowledgement of the power and destiny embedded in who you are. Number 11, your spirit exposes what people tried to hide from God. There's a strange, undeniable quality about chosen ones that goes far beyond appearances, talent, or intelligence. It's spiritual resonance, an energy that carries truth, integrity, and authenticity so clearly that it exposes what others have tried to hide, even from God. People who live with deception, selfishness, or compromise feel this energy almost immediately. Your presence doesn't just highlight their flaws on a human level, it stirs something deeper, something spiritual that they cannot silence. They feel it in the way you carry yourself, the decisions you make, and the calm authority that surrounds you. Your life becomes a mirror, that reflects not just what they are, but what they have tried to mask from the divine. The people watching you often don't even realize that this exposure is happening. They think they are observing you out of curiosity, envy, or control, but in reality, they are confronting their own hidden truths. Their attempts to manipulate, deceive, or undermine you crumble in the face of your integrity because your spirit doesn't lie, bend, or conform. It's precise, deliberate, and aligned with principles they cannot fake. Every time you act with honesty, every time you choose the right path despite risk or opposition, you silently reveal the gaps in their own moral compass. What makes this even more powerful is that it happens without you trying. You don't need to preach, correct, or confront. The mere alignment of your spirit with truth is enough. People feel it, and it forces them to reckon with the choices they've made, the compromises they've accepted, and the parts of themselves they've kept hidden from both others and God. This exposure makes some of them anxious, defensive, or obsessed. They watch your life closely because it reminds them of what they can't escape, the consequences of pretending, hiding, or choosing convenience over integrity. Your spirit acts as a silent force, revealing the unspoken truths in every room you enter, in every space you touch. It's a reminder that nothing can remain concealed when divine alignment walks among the unconsciously dishonest. In short, your very existence compels truth to rise, whether others are ready for it or not. Number 12, the one watching, is the person who realized you're protected in a way that can't be explained. Some people watch you with an intensity that goes beyond curiosity or envy, and the reason is simple yet profound. They've seen enough to know you are untouchable in ways they cannot explain. They've witnessed circumstances that should have broken you, yet somehow you emerged unscathed. They've observed attacks, betrayals, and obstacles that would have crushed anyone else, but you navigated them with a precision and resilience that defies logic. It unsettles them because they know something beyond human understanding is at work, a force guarding you that they cannot manipulate, predict, or overcome. This kind of protection is subtle yet undeniable. It doesn't announce itself with fanfare, but it manifests in moments that leave people questioning how you survived or thrived when the odds were stacked against you. Doors open for you in impossible ways. Opportunities align perfectly with your timing. Threats that should have succeeded vanish without explanation. Those watching recognize the pattern, and it terrifies them, not because they are evil or ill-intentioned, but because they know your life operates on a plane they cannot touch. The fascinating part is that this watcher often underestimates you, focusing only on the external protection rather than the inner strength that complements it. They don't fully see that you are not just surviving because of divine shielding, but because your discernment, discipline, and persistence align perfectly with it. Every move you make is guided by both your internal wisdom and the external protection they cannot understand. Being watched in this way sends a powerful message. Your life is not accidental. The alignment you experience, the timing of events, and the outcomes of situations are all indicators that you are operating under a force far greater than circumstance, opinion, or opposition. Those who notice it may fear the implications of crossing you, underestimate your influence, or obsessively track your journey. But ultimately, their attention is a silent acknowledgement that you are protected, guided, and unstoppable. They watch because deep down they understand nothing human can touch what God has ordained. Number 13, your influence is unintentional, and that's why it's powerful. You don't have to try to impress, lead, or control, yet your life carries a weight that commands attention. Your influence isn't loud, flashy, or self-serving. It's quiet, natural, and unavoidable. People are drawn to you, watch you, and even emulate you, often without realizing why. That's the extraordinary thing about true chosen ones. Their power isn't manufactured. It's embedded in the way they navigate the world with integrity, purpose, and consistency. Your influence is unintentional because it flows from authenticity, not performance, and that authenticity is impossible to fake, replicate, or contain. Those who are watching you are captivated because your life is proof of what's possible when intention meets action. They notice your discipline, the subtle ways you handle challenges, and the alignment of your decisions with a higher purpose. Every time you act with clarity or maintain composure in situations where others would falter, your influence grows silently. People study you because they can't figure out how someone can naturally command respect, inspire change, or generate results without forcing it. That magnetic effect unsettles them. It makes them aware that influence doesn't come from noise, manipulation, or ego, but from consistency, authenticity, and alignment with purpose. The true power of your unintentional influence lies in its ripple effect. You change atmospheres without speaking, shift mindsets without preaching, and guide people toward truth without even trying. Your actions speak louder than words ever could, and that resonates in a way that is subtle but irreversible. Those observing you know that your influence isn't performative, so every movement you make becomes a lesson, every decision a model, and every outcome a silent standard they cannot ignore. This is why people watch you so closely. They sense a power that doesn't need validation, applause, or recognition, yet it transforms spaces, behaviors, and even decisions around you. Your influence is quiet but undeniable, unintentional but unmistakable, and that is what makes it extraordinary. People are captivated not by what you say or show, but by the truth your life carries effortlessly. Number 14, someone is watching because they know you were chosen before you knew it yourself. There's a presence around you that even you didn't fully understand at first. A quiet force that was working on your behalf long before you realized your own power. Someone out there has been watching because they recognized what you couldn't yet see, that you were selected, marked, and aligned with a purpose that transcends ordinary understanding. Their gaze is not born from casual interest or envy. It comes from a recognition of destiny, a silent acknowledgement that your life carries weight and meaning that far exceeds human comprehension. They watch because they can sense the divine timing woven into your every step, and they know that trying to interfere would be futile. They notice the subtle patterns in your journey, the way opportunities appear when doors seem closed, the way challenges strike yet never permanently hold you down, and the way your resilience and discernment guide you without fanfare. These moments aren't random. They are signs that a higher hand has been at work. Those who have been paying attention before your own realization understand that what they are witnessing is the unfolding of a plan that was set in motion long before you were aware of it. The intensity of their observation comes from awe mixed with respect. They know you are being groomed, protected, and elevated in ways that are invisible to everyone else. Their watchfulness is a recognition that your path is not ordinary, that the impact you are destined to make will ripple far beyond the immediate environment, and that you are operating on a level of alignment others cannot imitate. What makes it extraordinary is that you are still discovering your own power while someone else has been holding a front-row seat to your emergence. You are navigating your purpose with increasing awareness, yet they have been studying the trajectory of someone chosen, guided, and protected by forces greater than circumstance. Their attention is a testament to your anointing, a silent witness to the fact that destiny had already written your story before you ever stepped into awareness. And that acknowledgement is why, without realizing it, you have always been observed, measured, and respected from afar, because they recognize the chosen one in you before you even knew you were standing in the light. The reality for chosen ones is far more profound than most people will ever understand. Every eye on you, every whisper of attention, every subtle observation is not random. It's a reflection of the unique alignment and purpose that you carry. From people who quietly measure their own conscience against your integrity, to those who realize that God's protection surrounds you in ways they can't comprehend, your life has become a force of revelation. You disrupt illusions, expose hidden truths, and radiate an influence that is impossible to ignore. Every success you quietly secure, every challenge you navigate, and every boundary you uphold becomes a silent lesson, a mirror, and a blueprint for the world around you. What makes this extraordinary is that you don't even have to try. The very essence of your being, your discipline, your discernment, your alignment with purpose, and your spiritual resonance commands attention and shifts realities. People watch you because your journey exposes what they've neglected, what they've hidden, and what they've never had the courage to build for themselves. Your growth becomes unavoidable proof that strength, resilience, and divine guidance operate on a level they cannot control or replicate. Even those you least expect to notice are aware of the protection, timing, and destiny that flows through your life. They watch because they know the truth. Your story, your rise, and your impact are not accidental. Every eye on you is a reminder that your path is divinely orchestrated, that your influence is unintentional yet powerful, and that the world is witnessing the unfolding of someone chosen before they even understood it themselves. You are not just living a life. You are operating as a beacon, a standard, and a force that reshapes perspectives and reveals hidden realities. Every moment of observation from others, whether conscious or unconscious, confirms what your spirit already knows. You are aligned, protected, and unstoppable. If this message resonates with you and you want to continue uncovering the truths that surround the life of a chosen one, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and share it with those who need to see this. Stay connected, stay aware, and embrace the path that is uniquely yours. The world is watching, and your journey is extraordinary. God bless you.